Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. We get some more questions now from our audience, and our first one's from Nicola.
Is it safe for British people to protest against the Islamic regime of Iran?
Thank you, Nicola. Yes, is it safe for British people to protest against the Islamic regime of Iran? So, UK-based Iranian dissidents face death threats from regime supporters. Activists report harassment, home vandalism and anonymous calls. Calls are growing for the UK to label Iran's IRGC a terrorist group. Well, we're going to go, obviously, to you, Nicholas, because you are Iranian, part Iranian. Now that the internet ban has been lifted in Iran, we are seeing horrific images, videos coming out. Also, the figures are, it seems like they were underestimated. They were saying it was 5,000. It now looks like it could be tens of thousands, 20, 30, even 40,000. Incredible numbers coming out. And the videos themselves are just inhuman.
Absolutely, and it's still going on, which is why they shut down the internet in the first place. And of course, this regime, who has now broken this unenviable record of the biggest massacre since the Second World War, arguably, in terms of the number of people killed in such a short span of time, there's no wonder its long arm, even in Europe, threatens Europeans, but primarily Iranians or people of Iranian origin. And I want to talk to the average British person, because sometimes I'm a naturalized Brit, but average British people, even on my YouTube channel, say, why should I care? You know, it's halfway across the world. And people have, understandably, sometimes fatigue. You know, we've had Afghanistan debacle, and then we have Ukraine and Gaza, and it just comes, you know, in quick succession, right? But even from a let's say, selfish point of view, when you look at the fact that Brits are being squeezed dry with taxes to finance the Ukrainian war machine, who is prolonging that war? Iran's support in terms of drone warfare for Russia. When we see millions of Syrian and not so Syrian refugees and fake refugees came into Europe, and with all the destabilizing problems that they created, who was prolonging that war? Iran was the major supporter of Assad regime. And finally, when we pay higher prices for everyday goods because pirates are disrupting navigation, maritime transit in the Red Sea, these Houthi pirates are supported by Iran. So never mind the humanitarian cause, which is noble, and we should actually go and help the Iranian people because they happen to be the most pro-Western population in that region. And this is the first time we see a revolution with Israeli flags, with American flags. Pardon?
Israel's pretty pro-Western.
Yeah, I mean, but Israel is okay. I mean, but who is the only friend of Israel in the region? You know?
No.
And who was the only country 50 years ago who
there were direct
recognized
flights between the countries.
Absolutely. So it's our moral duty not to throw them under the bus for the long-term interest, but even humanitarian aspect aside, British people every day are paying the price of this regime being in power in Tehran.
I think I would argue absolutely for selfish reasons, humanitarian reasons, but I would say also people around the world, frankly. And if once the regime goes, then the world becomes a safer.
And where is Greta? Where are the feminists? Where are the eyes on Gaza
where are the other news organisations? Well, this is the...
Fully agree with all of that, by the way. If the regime falls, people realise just how much it's been behind, messing around in world politics and so on. And also just because they're sending text messages to people in Britain threatening them with death. That's a serious concern for British people. But the Ayatollah at this point, he's like a bad Santa, you know, just sending out messages going, I can see if you're dissenting, no presents for you this year. And it's their power has been so extreme, and we've ignored it. And I think a lot of people are just realising we've got a big problem with the media, in that the mainstream media is almost completely mentioning the story, but playing it down massively.
Well, the BBC took Hamas's figures as fact. Yeah. And then when it comes to what's going on in Iran, suddenly they can't report on it, or it's unverifiable.
Well, in Iran, you've got not just no media, but you'd had complete internet shutdown, and they claimed therefore they can't do any speculation. That's all they've been doing for 2 years, making up stories.
Well, in Gaza, but they're not even really doing speculation on what...
No, that's what I'm saying. The contrast of what the claim they're making is why they can't cover it.
Well, let's go back to what's going on in the UK then. There are two activists that I know in particular, Lily Moo, Nia Kobani. They're two Iranians who right at the front of this movement in the UK to protest,
Yes.
to get like the IRGC to be prescribed.
But where do we stand? You can get arrested in this country for holding a sign saying Hamas is bad.
Well, this is NIAC.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, this is it. So but he's receiving death threats.
Yes.
And I know Lina Mu, she's afraid to leave her. She doesn't even tell her friends where she lives.
Yeah.
Because of these crimes. You know, surely
Yes.
the police have to put this as a priority.
Yeah, it's a real worry that the police seem to be protecting the movement that supports the regime and all its influences, rather than people who are protesting against this sheer horror that's going on. Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers. I don't know. It's hard to not sound to really be able to give it justice what's going on over there, but I just think about it a lot, and it's horrific.